In today's video, I'm going to talk about intrusive thoughts in ADHD. And if this isn't something that you're familiar with, it might sound a little bit confronting. However, if you're someone with ADHD, you might actually find hearing about this kind of reassuring, a little bit relieving, and a little bit, reassuring is a good word. So what am I talking about? And look, I'm going to lead straight into this by sharing some of, frankly, the most intense, intrusive short thoughts that I've had with ADHD. We'll start with the more basic ones. Whenever I'm walking along a bridge, I have this incredible urge to take my phone out of my pocket and just hurl it off the edge. But that's not that bad. There's worse ones. It used to be whenever I was working at the university library, I'd walk past all these people with their laptops and I'd want to get the cup of coffee that they might have had next to them and just pour it all over their keyboards. Now, by the way, before I go any further, I would never do any of these things. I never plan to, I'm never going to. But the thought appears in my mind sometimes quite vividly, and it's excruciatingly uncomfortable to ever think these thoughts. They can sometimes be quite violent, and the thought of picturing or perceiving yourself doing acts of violence is extremely confronting and scary. It's a scary thing to even witness yourself having some of these thoughts, and that's why it's so important to talk about. Because when I've talked to a lot of my ADHD clients about a lot of these things and said, hey, these are the things that I felt, they've gone, oh my God, I felt it too, but I never could tell anyone because I felt like there was something deeply wrong with me. And you know, like, it makes sense. Some of these thoughts, these intrusive thoughts, they are very taboo, to say the least. They're not things that we would proudly promote or present. And that's why it's important. And then there's a little piece that I'll share at the end that's going to put this all into context for you. I'll just share a few more. Some of them can get a little bit more intense, like call of the void style intense, as in, you know, I might, instead of wanting to hurl my phone off the bridge, I might want to hurl myself across the bridge. Now, the thing that's interesting that separates this from like suicidal ideation is that I have this impulsive thought of, oh, I could throw myself off this bridge, yay. And then I get terrified inside that I've had the thought. I go, oh my God, I can't believe I just thought that. That's the shocking and confronting thing. And that's what separates it. I don't want the outcome at all. But the impulsive thought emerges. Same thing, I might be walking along and look, some days I do feel a little bit vulnerable about sharing here because they are intense. I'll turn this one down slightly, but it's still pretty intense. Sometimes when I'm walking along, I just have this sudden like, I'll do a more specific one. So when I was studying honors and doing my thesis in neuroscience, there was, I had a supervisor and he was great. And if you're watching this, you're amazing and I appreciate you. And ignore the rest of what I'm about to say. Because there were times that it was very stressful, it was very hard work. And I distinctly remembered going to see my doctor because I was a little bit concerned about some of the intrusive thoughts that I was having. I was really stressed, really exhausted. And I kept having this thought when my supervisor was talking to me that I just wanted to just like just slap him as hard as I could across his face. And I'd be like listening, trying to concentrate, and be like, yep, I'm paying attention. That's really important. I should really make note of this. And at the same time, a just chunk of my brain was just visualizing, just like slapping him super hard. Again, I would never do this. I cannot stress that enough. I would never do this. But the fact that I was having these thoughts was actually the thing that scared me. I was terrified that I was having these thoughts at all. I was like, what's wrong with me? I went to see my doctor to be like, hey, am I nuts? Am I a psychopath? I was afraid I might ever hurt someone, actually, if I'm being really honest. And at the time, the doctor said something to me, which is what I've been saying to a lot of my coaching clients since, which was something along the lines of, your fear, how scared you are of doing that thing is likely going to prevent you from ever doing it. As in how terrified I was that I ever might was going to be the thing that would keep me in check, prevent me from ever doing it, because the thought of it was abhorrent, absolutely incomprehensibly evil and wrong. And how afraid I was that I even had that thought was the thing that was going to keep me safe from doing that action. That was the conclusion that was shared with me and made me go, okay. And it was relieving, because at the end of the day, I was never going to do these things. It wasn't my desire to do them that was scary. It was the thought that emerged that even picturing them was terrifying. And I'm talking about this now because this is an ADHD thing. It's a thing that many people with ADHD experience quite often, and we do not talk about. We do not share it because, of course, it's a confronting, scary thing. We don't want to say to someone that we're close to, hey, I thought about punching you today. Like, that's a terrifying and scary thing. But for us who might think that thought and kind of, I was talking about it before, the word fantasizing is not correct. Because fantasizing implies this lust or desire to do so. But there's sort of this like ruminating quality with a lot of these thoughts that I've experienced, which is scary, and a lot of my clients have too, where it's like you replay them again and again with this like, there is a desire. It's like, I really want to. Part of me feels like it wants to. Again, I will never do it, and none of my clients ever would either. Because when I talk about this, when I tell them this whole story and all these experiences that I've had, they're relating, they're feeling relieved, they're feeling validated. They go, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. But you're not, and I'm not. Do not be alarmed, do not be too afraid by this violent side of you. If you're as afraid of it as you should be, then you are not likely to ever act on it. That is the thing that will keep you safe. So, but it is confronting, and we need to be able to express that we might have ever had these thoughts so that we can get some like reassurance, or, I had this thought and it was scary for me. I want someone to help me recover from that thought that I had. Oh yeah, it was about me hurting you? Yeah, ignore that part. Help me feel better about it. That's the thing people might not get, which makes sense. I'm like, oh my God, you ever thought that about me? I'm in danger? Oh, I'll push you away. It's not about that, because they were never in danger. They were... I hope I'm making something clear. I really do. It's a scary thing that we sometimes experience. And I think really all I'm trying to do with this video is to just validate that it exists, and it's a horrible thing for us, no matter how scary or confronting it might seem for other people. It's terrifying for us to ever feel this way, even if it's for just like this fleeting fractional moment. And it's surprisingly common. I'm really hoping I'm not painting myself out as like some absolute psychopath or whatever. There are a lot of people with ADHD, a huge amount of my client base, that have expressed this to me once they felt sufficiently safe and comfortable to do so. This is the thing. I'm happy to have enough evidence to say from my professional experience, this is the thing. Many of us deal with it. Maybe all of us, maybe some of us aren't aware enough, or there's too much else going on, but I think it's a very common and very universal thing. And if this video helps people talk about it and receive a little bit of help and support, I mean, that can only be a positive thing, right? So I hope that's useful for you to hear. Thank you for your time. If you stuck around this long, clearly something's resonating. So thank you for your time, for your patience and your energy. I appreciate you. And don't be too afraid, don't be too confronted. As long as these things continue to scare you, again, that should be enough to keep you safe. Okay. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you like this one, even though it's maybe a little bit intense, still hit like and then hit subscribe, because I do post a new video every single day. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.